And at this point, I will introduce one of our people who has taken on a role today, and that is Sandy here, who is, a member of our a member of our club, and just such a huge help. She is our treasurer this year and just enormously helpful in helping me figure out what are these numbers and what do they mean. So she's a great partner, and really we're lucky to have her in this club to be our treasurer.
Can I say a quick thing?
Sure.
So when the Ukrainian families were here for a week, Sandy put me in touch with twins, so I got to take all of them to the baseball game.
Oh, nice.
So thank you, Sandy.
So some bullet points about Sandy. She grew up in West Central Minnesota. She attended Haverford College in Pennsylvania, one of those listed small liberal arts schools. She graduated from the U of M Morris with a degree in business and economics. She has a master's in public administration from Hamlin. She has spent most of her career, I won't even say the number because it's bigger than you would think, most recently as deputy CFO for the city of Minneapolis. She came to Meet Minneapolis here in this organization in 2017 and currently serves as the senior vice president of finance and business operation. She is a certified association executive as of this year. She is married and lives in Farmington, where she is working on prodding her 2 children to leave home.
Good luck.
I'll stand at my spot here. I am very pleased to have the opportunity to introduce my boss, Mr. T, or Melvin Tennant. I was going to go with the Mr. T thing, but I promised him I would keep it reasonable. I've worked with Melvin since 2017. We have a very strong leadership team here that Melvin has built for the organization with the intent of fostering economic success for Minneapolis as a whole, particularly downtown. The pandemic was quite a crushing blow to the hospitality industry, and Melvin's been leading the charge with our team to kind of bring people back. He's been in the Convention and Visitor Bureau business for over 30 years. Lies. Yeah. Must have been in kindergarten. Yeah. And Melvin has been with Minneapolis for 15 years. So without further ado, I will switch the presentation and let Melvin share all of the work that we've done.
All right. Thank you, Sandy. While Sandy's making the switch, I'll welcome you officially again to our offices here in Minneapolis and standing remotely almost. I'm glad that we had such a great turnout by Rotarians and guests. So thank you very much for being here. We've been in this location since 2018. We strategically moved our offices from about 8 blocks away on Marquette between when we hosted the Super Bowl and Final Four, 2018, 2019. So Sandy led the charge of getting us locating a new office space. And when we moved into this space, the only thing that was here were the columns that you see around. It was completely empty. The former TCF bank filled the space. And so we got a chance to create a work environment that was unique to us as an organization. So we ready?
Yep.
Yeah. So before we get started, one thing I wanted to just point out is that we've begun the practice of a land and water acknowledgement. If you'd allow me to do that briefly before we get started. Minneapolis acknowledges and honors the Dakota people who are the original stewards of the magnificent land and vibrant waterways in Minneapolis. The Dakota, as well as Ojibwe and other indigenous people, cared for the land, lakes, and Hapa, the Mississippi River, for thousands of years before the arrival of Europeans. Today, this place continues to hold significant spiritual and cultural importance for a strong, resilient, and growing indigenous community in Minneapolis and in Minnesota. This acknowledgement is just the start of our journey as we continually strive to tell the rich and diverse story of Minneapolis. We invite you to learn more about the Dakota, Ojibwe, and other indigenous people of our area, as well as the non-colonial history of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we began that practice at our annual meeting this year, and so this is something that's very important to us, telling the authentic story of Minneapolis. So we'll jump right in. Good?
Yep.
All right. Meet Minneapolis. A lot of you already know what we do as an organization, but I just want to let you know that we were founded in 1987. We're a business association, a 501c6. So chamber, downtown council, trade association, our 501c6. We represent the hospitality industry, and that is really our purpose for being. We have a 70-member staff, a 36-member board. And Scott, where are you? When you were on the board, when you were on city council, the board was significantly larger, as you might recall. So we were able to right-size our board, but 36-member board. We're a partner of the city. 75% of our dollars are from the city with our contract. And we do have a significant amount of private revenue. And as you can see, we're the official destination marketing organization for Minneapolis. And this is just a quick look at our board. I don't expect you to read every single name, but really the point here is that we have a very diverse, broad-based board, public and private individuals, representing the hospitality industry, other industries, government, very much government. 6 city council members, the mayor, and 2 county commissioners. And this is how we run our business. This is our strategy map. Sandy is the organizer of our planning process here in Meet Minneapolis, and this is our strategy map for 2023. It's basically organized by our 4 main key performance indicators, which I'll talk about in a second. But really what I wanted to point out on this strategy map is our mission. Sandy really talked about it, but to positively impact the economic and social prosperity of our community. But also I want to point out our organizational values: service, collaboration, inclusion, passion, and integrity. So we, as an organization, try really hard to live by those values. But this is how we run our business and organize our business. And we're in the midst of planning right now. In fact, today we have a planning meeting with our city government partners to talk about the 2024 plan. So there's a lot of planning going on to try to market this destination. Again, this is how we're judged for success. We are responsible for future hotel room bookings, like the Rotary International Convention. A revenue at the convention center, partnership retention, and increasing lodging taxes. So lots of accountability for Meet Minneapolis. Last year, still coming off pandemic, social unrest, we still had a pretty good year, particularly compared to the year before, 2021, but still not quite back to 2019 levels, but we're very much on the way. And I meant to say that if there are questions, please stop me at any given time. I'm very mindful of the time that you have here today, and I wanted to make sure that I get through this material, but please stop me. Yeah.
Thank you, Melvin. I'm glad you said that because I did have a question, but I didn't know if I could interrupt. I'm looking at the partner retention. How do you define what is a partner?
A partner is a private business that feels as though the work that we do aligns with what their business practices, like a hotel or a restaurant, a venue, and they will pay a membership fee to be a part of it, to get our access to our membership benefits. And so that's a partner could be almost any company that relates to the travel and tourism industry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, you had a question and I'll go to you, sir.
Does the lodging tax go to Minneapolis or the city, or?
It does not. It goes to the city's general fund, and our contract with the city of Minneapolis is for a specific dollar amount with an annual cost of living increase.
My question had to do with the lodging tax. Were there increases in the taxes, so the revenue has gone up even though everything else has gone down?
Well, that was a particular anomaly because of prices. Was it the prices of average daily rates went up in hotels? So with fewer hotels operating, prices went up because of demand, and so we had a lot of business from. Go ahead.
I was just gonna add that, to your point, David, the lodging tax rate did go up from
That's true.
2.2% to 3%
Okay.
in October of 2019. So 2019 is not quite apples to apples, but it's almost a 30%
Forgot about
increase
that.
in that actual rate.
Okay, thank you.
So she keeps me out of trouble. Thank you.
I'm curious too. I travel for business and one of the worst to cover like 9 different taxes on a room in Boston. Just you just look at that and you're like, how could there be 9 taxes? How do you do the analysis of how we compare? From a tax perspective, when we're trying to attract, what you're talking about, is convention business, we're trying to attract group business. How do you do that analysis and how do we compare? I mean,
Well, we use a third-party company. Civic is a company that's helping us actually add a fee to our hotel rate. We'll talk about that in a minute, actually. But there's an analysis that's done, in fact, hot off the press. Currently, we are about 70th in the country in terms of overall tax rate. Because if you go to a city, there's a sort of a compilation of taxes, city, county, state. It depends on where you are.
it's dizzying in cost.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you add it all up, we're about 70 right now. Yeah. And frankly, unless it gets excessive, it typically doesn't necessarily stop us from getting business. Sometimes a meeting and event planner, when they're analyzing cities, will look at overall cost of venue, cost of food and beverage, room tax cost. If it's excessive, then it may become a factor, but in general, in and of itself, it's not usually something that tips the scale one way or another. Okay, that's what we've done.
And Melvin, the highest is Omaha, isn't it?
It was over 21% last year.
Oh my
The
God.
best thing that we do as an organization is represent the convention. And at the convention center, the staff, the sales and marketing staff people there are Meet Minneapolis employees. Idea of how we operate and some of the quick facts about the convention. Largest facility in this region. How many of you have been in the auditorium at the conventions? How many of you didn't even know that there was an auditorium? You get to check it out, it's a great facility. Another thing we do is, we operate the Meet Minneapolis Visitor Center at Fifth and Nicollet through the hours. And how many of you have been there? Come on, Fifth and Nicollet, that's right there by the light rail. So we operate that as a service to visitors, but also a lot of local folks want to come in and get information. We also have retail in there with downtown county community shops. Another area of responsibility of Meet Minneapolis is working with the city to market the 7 cultural districts. And you may not know that we do have official cultural districts. These are those districts. They're represented on our website with great content, with great videos. So please check those out. They really help us tell the authentic story of the city. Obviously, for conventions, the major venues, maybe the convention center, large hotels, US Bank Stadium, Target Center, but we really want to share the news with visitors that we have a very diverse city with lots of things to experience, not just things that are downtown. We really try to share that with the entire, about what we have in the entire community. Also, we have a very robust equity, diversity, inclusion, and access plan. We hired a VP of that discipline about 2 years ago, and we've actually put together a really strong internal program, also a program that's helping our industry become much more diverse and aware. Cultural competency is a big part of that. So we're very proud of that. But also the diverse suppliers program. Wanted to make sure that when groups come in, they have a chance to experience suppliers from all backgrounds. you remember with Super Bowl, there was a very large diverse supplier program that the NFL had, and we really tried to model our program after that. Keep pushing. We also manage on behalf of the city, a Sister Cities program. We have 12 sister cities from around the world. And the city doesn't have currently an international department within the city enterprise, so this is a responsibility that we have, managing inbound delegation from those cities and also managing outbound trips. We came back early September with the mayor and Councilmember Goodman to Kuopio, Finland. We were there for about 5 days.
What does that look like? So you have these sister city relationships. Are they just looking at that cross promotion of? Like, you want to attract conventions? How does that benefit?
Yeah, what's the value?
Yeah, what's the benefit us and that?
These relationships began starting over 50 years ago for various reasons. At a certain point in time, there might have been interest from some local people that may have moved from one of those cities to here, like Cuernavaca, Mexico. That state in Mexico is called Morelos State, and there are a lot of people from that state who live in Minneapolis, and so that is what drove that relationship. Those relationships were started for different reasons. Could be education, could be commerce, could be environment. So they started for different reasons over the years. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag of why we have those relationships. I will tell you this, that currently there is a moratorium on additional relationships that have been put in place by the city. Until we can sort of analyze what resources it takes to potentially add more. There are a lot of, in fact, we had a couple of calls just this week from folks that want to start a sister city in the Ukraine. And so, again, it takes a lot of resources to manage that. It takes a local committee. So, a lot of different reasons why those relationships exist. No necessarily common thread other than their interest by a group of people here. All right. Strategic partners. We do a lot. You saw a lot of things that we do. We don't do it alone, but I wanted to share with you some of the organizations that we work with very close. Downtown Council, obviously because the footprint that they represent is where a lot of the assets are that we sell. So Downtown Council, Regional Chamber, BOMA is a big partner. Greater MSP is a big partner because really what we do is also economic development. So we do a lot of things with that organization. The Hotel Association, in fact, Sandy is the executive director of the Hotel Association. It's one of her hats that she wears here for Meet Minneapolis. Explore Minnesota Tourism, the state tourism agency. And then also U.S. Travel is the organization that represents the United States internationally as a destination. Those are some key partners that we have. I also want to let you know that we have a very strong partnership with Minnesota Sports and Events, established in 2021, but really going back to the Super Bowl and Final Four. When you do a major event like that, it takes multiple entities, multiple municipalities. A lot of that work had originated from Meet Minneapolis, and it became, I won't say a burden, but it became a lot of work for just one organization. So this organization was started to really go after the mega events that involve multiple municipalities. So we work very closely with them from a funding and a strategic direction perspective. And also with the other large destination marketing organizations, Bloomington and St. Paul, are the key partners to this organization. A big win that you might be aware of Minnesota Sports and Events is the USA Gymnastics Olympic trials next year. That was a big win for them, for example. Lots of other big events are being considered, from Big Ten football to another Final Four. So there's some constant work that we're doing with this organization.
So we have both Big Ten men's and women's league championship.
Absolutely.
So that would be for that will be long, usually week long, started that month.
Absolutely. But looking forward to that.
The first time I think that's been all.
Well, yeah, we have equipment. We have the women this year, vote next year. Exactly right. Right, I'll keep pushing. Industry recovery. We, Sandy said, have had some challenges within our industry over the last 3 years. But happily, we have had a strong recovery. Year over year occupancy is up 9%. Demand for hotel rooms is up significantly. And rooms revenue, another measure of success, is up. What's the difference between occupancy and demand?
Sorry, didn't hear the question.
Occupancy and demand, what's the difference?
So, they are, occupancy is a function of demand, so you have the total number of available rooms. The demand are the rooms that are actually booked and used. And then occupancy is a function of what percentage of available rooms is actually occupied.
You could have probably asked Mark that question.
Mark knows this quite well.
I'll just interject, Melvin. We're the Element Hotel down by the Twin Stadium. So all through the pandemic, which, we all, some of us remember more vividly than others. But, you guys, all the way through that, you had, I can't remember if the calls were, some of them were weekly at sometimes, but there was great information, great resiliency and professionalism through that. And looking at one of your presentations that just came out on our phone, we still have a lot of challenges. And I do have a lot of confidence, though, that we got a professional marketing organization. So I'm going to ask you a question at the end of this, but in the meantime, as we look, and I travel too, because I love to travel in the hospitality industry. I go to other cities and they're really back. We're not, even close to. I think there's more people in downtown Bozeman than there is in downtown Minneapolis on weekends. But I do think that you guys know how to sell it and present. I guess the question I'd ask is, what do you think? What do you guys feel you need from the city? Because I don't think you can change there's some civic leadership issues that are really challenged with, and the perception of this town relative to others is, we got a pretty big, a blemish, I guess, on our reputation and how we handled the recovery. And I'm curious, what do you think the city needs to do and civic leadership needs to do to help overcome that and, bring us back to where we should?
I would say that's a whole separate presentation. We've actually done presentations on reputation management. What I will say is that from the research that we've done, the reputational issues that we have are more pronounced within our immediate geographic area, the suburbs, greater Minnesota, various the surrounding states, people that are more familiar with our news cycle, see things. But if you go to any city, you travel a lot, you'll see stories about that city on the news that you won't see anywhere else. And if you go to Washington, D.C., and you'll hear about a shooting or a carjacking, I'm sure the people that live there are more concerned about it. Maybe, I don't know, then we would never hear about it. So a lot of the news is so localized, but it becomes so, I think, overblown in many ways. That's kind of my opinion, because generally in national customers that come here, and I actually do have some statistics about that in just a moment, generally don't think that we're any less safe than any other big city across the country. And so I think we don't do ourselves any favors. Our own media probably does things that don't help the situation. A lot of it is more perception than reality at this point. Although I will just absolutely say that there have been some public safety concerns that continue to be addressed.
Yeah, perception becomes
Reality.
decisional. Yeah, we're heavily dependent on the region for our inbound traveler,
Right.
who does get their news out of Minneapolis.
Right, and I'll be talking about our regional marketing campaign in just a minute as well to help change some of those opinions. Thank you for that question. I'm sorry, I wanted to just point out, the yellow line or gold line is Minneapolis in terms of hotel occupancy, starting in January 2020 to September. So you can see that we hit bottom April 2020, when our hotel occupancy was probably as low as 4%. And if, you know, that on a typical year, our annualized hotel occupancy would be about 70%. And so we ended up, you know what we ended up 2020, was it less than?
I think it was 20% maybe,
Yeah,
and that
for the
was
year.
spread by what was, in the early first quarter.
Yeah. But really what I want to point out, this section is about recovery. We have made an amazing recovery. We lagged both the US and our competitive set for a long, long time. And we've finally gotten to the point of occupancy where we are back in the mix, and it's taken.
Thank you, Taylor Swift.
Certainly helped. That was just one weekend. But this should give you a cause for optimism. We have really made a strong recovery. Statistics, these are some of the cities in our competitive set, Denver, Chicago, Kansas City, Cleveland, you take the rest. But our occupancy is really becoming much more competitive again compared to some of the other cities. So you can see, we've overcome a lot. We've overcome a lot. 2023, we have had and will have some major events which have helped fuel the recovery. As you said, third Big Ten. We do a lot of youth events, a lot of volleyball. We have the Elks Convention. We had Health Risk Management. Society of Landscape Architects is actually in right now at the convention center. A lot of major events have come back strong.
How does like the Rotary International compare to like a Elks or?
Much bigger. I've got that on that, but it's huge. It's huge. Over 20,000 hotel rooms with a full event will be occupied through the course of the convention. Yeah. So the weekend that Taylor Swift was here was the weekend that we sold the most hotel rooms ever in the city of Minneapolis, ever. And that's a function of the fact that we have more hotel rooms now than we ever had. Still, in spite of the pandemic, we had growth in hotels in this market. So we sold more hotel rooms on that, I believe that Saturday night than ever in the history of the city.
More than at Super Bowl?
Yeah. Yes, on a single night, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Where's picture Taylor Swift?
Are you a Swift?
I didn't know. I didn't think the picture.
That's not fair to Jim.
And during that weekend, 95% occupancy, average daily rate of $306. There's been a demand change of 176% from a similar time frame the year before, and revenue up significantly, 136%. Huge weekend. And, you know, we tried to get in touch with our people to see if maybe she could do like every other weekend.
Yeah.
And Melvin, I just wanted to go back to a previous question. If you think about the positive impact on the city enterprise itself, you think 3% of $6 million is lodging taxes that are collected and then remitted back to the city. So it helps the economics of the city itself.
I'm gonna push on, I know we're running up, I'm sorry.
Question, that was the most that you sold ever, but
In one night, yeah.
in one night, did you fill the capacity of every hotel, or was there more seats still available?
More seat, more.
More hotel rooms still available for guests, because we've gone.
We could have got a little bit more. I mean, it was, I think that one night it was maybe 98.9%. It was really high. Not every single room was occupied, but when you add them all up, it was more than ever been sold in any one night. Yeah.
Are we a sanctuary city, a certain amount of hotel rooms reserved always for the city to take in people, the homeless?
I don't think the hotel community does that, but as a sanctuary city, there are accommodations that are made, not necessarily
This
in
city
hotels.
and
Yeah.
that's why you go on there. Thank you.
All right, looking ahead, we get into the home stretch here. Wanted to let you know that 2024 is also going to be a big year, including the Olympic trials, gymnastics. But these are some of the major events we're hoping, not hoping, that are already confirmed.
So when you track that, what's your expectation? Is it expectation of 11% gain, 13% gain? How do you?
We look holistically by tracking, our pace report. We know where we should be in terms of looking future roads based on history. So we have expectations of, I guess, from the lodging perspective. What does the city expect? Is that a 2 to 3% a year?
That's what that's what they've got in their longer term plan, but that's been exceeded.
Yeah, so our major measure of success is the total expected rooms that we've confirmed. So that's how we judge our success, and also the revenue of the contingents and associated.
Melvin, just a quick question of clarification, that $6 million per night revenue, was that just from the hotels?
Yeah, that's lodging tax revenue.
Okay.
Yeah, hotel
Do-
revenue.
Do you know like the revenue for overall city, like restaurants, for example?
I don't have that, but I believe that comes through the state. And we could get that, but I don't think we have that
I don't
yet.
think we can get it for that specific, we can get it for the month, they don't give us that level of detail, but we will be able to see, liquor, food, entertainment, and lodging.
The reason why we can do it for lodging is that there's a third party called Smith Travel Research that does hotel statistical information for all cities across the country. So they do that. They have a system to do the lodging revenue, but I'm not aware of one that does it just for restaurants.
I just think generally the proportion would be the lodging revenue is 6 million. The liquor and restaurants, probably another 6 million.
Oh, similar,
Yeah.
more or less.
So it's-
Yeah.
Just interesting to know, like, what's the overall revenue of that one night?
It's a lot more than 12 million bucks.
Wow.
You know, the 6 plus 6.
So we talked about the liquor trials, again, looking ahead in future years, lots of other major events coming in, so the future is bright.
So we're gonna, kind of give you your delightful gift.
Yeah.
So that the folks outlined and who needs to pop off, and can do so. If you're available, additional questions or people want to hang out longer. Sounds like there's quite a bit of interest, so, what I will do is just let you know, Melvin, that your support, we're out, and part of our mission is to ensure that children have opportunities to read, so your, gift to us is also a gift to you. We ask that you autograph a book that'll go to a third grader, help their reading, and you can autograph it with this delightful pen that we years to keep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I'll just say that, again, thank you, Melvin, for being willing to stay around and ask some questions. I'm sorry, but we need to at least let people go who want to go, and wrap the meeting up with a thank you to Cindy for being our greeter, Anna for the reflection, our tech team here of Sandy and Brock, and Sandy for being our day chair. Yep, we're hoping for the international convention. And I forgot to mention that Ross does have some tickets for the British Air Awards. We got 50 tickets based on the interest, and there's 10 tickets left. That's for Sunday, December 18th at 4 o'clock. So if you want to go to the British Aeros with a group of your favorite 49 other Rotarians, reach out to Ross Naylor for that. And with that, I'll say thank you very much to Melvin, and have a great Rotary week.